Hello and welcome to Bristol in southwest England, where today I am with the default 737-800, but slightly different. I wasn't a huge fan of flying the default 737-800 in X-Plane 11. The model looks amazing, but I thought the sound was terrible, and also in the flight deck, a lot of things were oversimplified, and I just couldn't find my way in it. There's good news. A guy on the forums.explain.org named Zibo has made a mod of this default 737-800, so a modified version of it. And what I did is I installed that, and I also installed an enhanced sound pack for the CFM56 for the default 737-800. You can also download that from forums.explain.org. And by the way, if you are new to Explain, the explain.org forum is, well, you must have a profile there. Make sure that you can log in there and that you can download files from that, because it's basically a huge database of freeware updates of scenery, airplanes, sounds, all sorts of modifications you can find there. So if you are new to Explain, explain.org forums is really the place to be. And if you want to spend money on buying add-ons, then you can also go to store.explain.org for all your payware add-ons in scenery, airplanes, you name it. Like I said, we are in Bristol today. I will just do a startup in the modified 737-800. And then we will, well, I don't think I'm going to do the entire flight, but at least the startup so that we can see how the new flight deck works. We can hear the new engine sound, so I probably do a takeoff, but not a complete flight. But just to give you an impression of this modified 737-800, I haven't flown it with the new sound pack, so that's new for me as well. So we'll just see where it goes. So let's just put the battery on. That will bring some life to the cockpit. Switch the ground power on. And we will also align the IRS. Well, that's the one thing that's not very real. Of course, you switch them on to nav and immediately you have all the displays ready. There's no aligning time whatsoever. But the major improvement in this is by far in the flight management computer. When you get Explain 11 out of the box, well, basically the flight management computer, it looks real, but the only thing that you can do in there is do your lateral navigation. There's no way that you can do vertical navigation whatsoever. So that's not very real. That's not very, it doesn't come even close to the real thing. That has improved. It's not perfect yet. There are still improvements to be done, I think, in this mod. But the the creator of the mod, Zibo, here is a list of the things that he has done already. There are release up updates, so you can see that he has made tons of adjustments to it, and I think he will be busy with that for a while. But more improvised, no, not improvised, more improved versions are probably on the way. And this already makes the airplane a lot more fun to fly with. So let's go to the pass init page. We are in Bristol, which is Echo Golf Golf Delta. We will put the last position into the IRS position. Go to the route page. We know that our nav data is out of date, but that's not a big problem to me. And let's just improvise a route from Bristol to Amsterdam, since we have the KLM livery. And call ourselves KLM 1852. I don't care if it's a real flight number or not. Sounds nice. So execute, go to departure page. We'll be departing runway 27 via the Badi 1 X-ray into the flight plan to Badim. From there we will just fly straight on to Brookmans Park, that's north of London. And then we'll fly to the British East Coast to Clacton, Charlie Lima November. Then we'll fly to the North Sea, a point called Lamso, Lima Alpha Mike Sierra Oscar. And from there we will make the arrival route into Amsterdam. So Lamso 1 Alpha for the ILS 18 right with a Sugol transition into the flight plan. Check for route discontinuities. There don't seem to be any, so execute. And there we also have the route now on the nav display. Now, one of the things that I hope will be improved in some of the next updates is the size of the symbols on the nav display. I don't really like them. They are very small, very hard to read. You have to zoom in quite far. I don't think that's very real, but well, we'll see if that comes up in the future. Let's see what we have in terms of weight and balance today. If we're flying to Amsterdam, we don't need any fuel in the center tank, so let's clean that one. And with 2 full wing tanks, we should have plenty of fuel to reach it. It's a 1-hour flight. We have for 2 hours worth of fuel now, so that's okay. Apply changes. Go to the performance page. You can just press the left line selector keys here and they will fill in the blanks. We'll use 2 tons of fuel in reserve. 30 for the cost index, and let's say we'll fly the route today on flight level 270 with a transition altitude of 3,000 feet. Well, we're not going to derate the takeoff. The runway here in Bristol isn't very long. So takeoff, let's make that a flaps. Yeah, flaps 5. What do we get then? Oh, that's plenty. And well, I'm not really sure where to find the center of gravity as a percentage. I can't find that in the added weight and balance because you will get it as minus or plus in centimeters. But I don't get it as a as the percentage that I would like. So let's just keep it standard. If you don't fill in this number, it will also fly. I tested that on a previous flight, so there's no reason to panic yet. But in real life, you would need the center of gravity here, and that will give you a setting for the trim. So we'll just use the trim, well, let's say trim 4. That's usually somewhat right. Let's set the auto brakes to RTO. And we now have a flight plan loaded in. So with the V2 of 149, let's set the speed to 149 plus 20 is 169. The runway heading runway 27 is, I think, 266 here in Bristol. Well, let's just keep it to 266 for now, and our initial climb out is 6,000 feet. So there we are. Flight director can come on. And well, basically that's already it. The testing of the fire systems, that works. Can test that one as well. But that's not too exciting for now. Let's just run the overhead flow. So yaw dampers can come on. We can now switch on the fuel pumps as well. Switch on the passenger signs. Oh. Window heats can come on. Engine hydraulics can come on as well. Recirculation fans are off. Packs can go off. Oh, I said off. Isolation valve can be opened, and we can already open these two. We will be flying at flight level 270, so let's dial that in here. That's needed for the pressurization system. And it is modeled in X-Plane. If you don't set this, and there will be no oxygen, and your screen will turn black. Anti-collision lights can come on. And let's start the APU. Now we just have to wait for it to start. By the way, the scenery of Bristol is an add-on scenery, which you can buy in the store.xplane.org. And it was created by, let me mention that because it's a beautiful scenery. Let's see, it was... Must be so. Oh yeah, Pilot Plus. That's the person or persons that created this scenery. Anyway, we can now hear that the APU is running. So let's switch it to the buses. Get rid of the ground power and open the APU bleed so we can get the engine to the engine starter system. That's now running. Well, normally you would now push back and then start your engines. Unfortunately, there is no pushback available here in Bristol for me if I press the key combination.
Sorry, no push carts at this ramp.
It says no push carts at the ramp, so that's a bit of a bummer, but we're just starting up the engines here on stand, and we'll just use the thrust reversers to get out of this taxi spot. It's not something that is done in real life, but well, we have to be on our way anyway, so... Must say I'm not too much blown away by the sound until now. Because basically this is still... this still sounds like the normal sound system that I have. Or that you get out of the box with the 737-800. Let's start up the other engine. There are two good engine starts. So let's switch the engine generators to the buses now. Standby power should be... Pito heats can come on. Oh, we don't need anti-ice. Electric hydraulics can come on. Recirculation fans on. Packs go to auto, so goes the isolation valve. APU bleed can come off. And the APU can be switched off. We'll use taxi lights now. And like I said, we will thrust reverse out of this parking spot. So let's release the parking brake and reverse. So there's our improvised pushback. You shouldn't use your toe brakes when your speed is still high when you are in reversing out of a parking spot, because that will make the airplane jump. Brings the nose off the ground, so you don't want that. Let's set flaps 5, 1, 2, 5. And C for the flight control check. Full lefts, full rights, down, up, neutral, and rudder full lefts, full rights, neutral. So let's go. Well, here I stand corrected. The new sound package does have much better sounds than the default sound pack, so my apologies to the maker of my previous comment, but the sound pack really is an improvement. So let's switch on the strobe lights. And the runway of the landing lights, of course. Taxi lights can come off. We can now also switch on the transponder. Of course, in Europe we don't use inches, we use hectopascals. And it looks like we need just a tad higher, because Bristol's on 622 feet. So let's set the starters to continuous. Whoa, that was a bit of a rough braking, but let's be on our way. So take off. Oh, arm the auto throttle, of course. Set N1. V1 rotates. Positive rates. Gear up. Flaps 2. Flaps 1. Autopilot in command, LNAV, VNAV. Flaps up. Gear lever off. Auto brakes are off. And transition altitude, so standard on the QNH. Flying out of Bristol with a modified default 737-800. I think it's a big improvement in terms of the flight deck and how it works. So again, go to the forums.explain.org, just search for B738-800 modified, that's a mistake by the way, or find member Zibo, Zulu India Bravo Oscar. Find his post on the modified Boeing 738, scroll down, you will find the link down here and give the guy a donation for this awesome work that he's been doing. And then you can also look for the CFM56 Soundpack for the default 737-800 to get the well, improved sounds. And you are basically gonna have a lot more fun with the default 737 than with the out of the box version with the oversimplified cockpit. By the way, when you adjust your heading, make sure that you only click when the curved arrows are small, because if you make them with the bigger arrows, you will set the bank limit for the airplane and it will not bank as sharp as it needs, and it will basically mess up your lateral navigation sometimes. So that's something to be careful about on this plane. But like I said, it's I can definitely recommend you to download this modification file. I think it's a lot more fun to fly with the default 737 in this way. So well, I wish you all lots of fun with it. And happy flying. I will stick to 6,000 until this point, and then we'll climb ahead, make some shots of the outside. Of course, on the model itself, nothing had to be changed because that was already jaw-droppingly nice. But in here with the zonephoto.explain.fr photo scenery tiles at zoom level 16 and the World to Explain Europe mix file, you definitely have a nice British landscape to fly over en route to wherever you want to go, and in our case, Amsterdam. I think I will cut the video here, complete the flight, and I will be with you, I think, somewhere on descent, so that we can listen to the engine sounds for the thrust reversers. So I might even just come in just before landing. I will look into that, but you'll see me in like half an hour time here on the lower right display. Might even be 45 to 50 minutes. We'll see. See you guys in a second. So here I am back a little bit sooner than expected, but just to show you briefly the Greater London area that we are now flying over. This is London Heathrow down here, with the River Thames flowing towards the North Sea, of course. London City Airport. This is Canary Wharf down there. The famous London skyline with the Big Ben, House of Parliament and the London Eye down there. So just to show you some touristic information on the flight towards Amsterdam from Bristol. Kind of shows the amazing quality of zoom level 16 photoreal tiles when you are flying on cruise level. This is flight level 270. And as you can see, the performance is still pretty good. It's well in the 40s, with sometimes drop to 39 and sometimes a gain of up to 55 frames per second, that is. So what helps, of course, is that the weather is clear. In my experience, the weather in X-Plane 11 is a real frame rate killer. I have set it to real world weather, so it's probably a beautiful day in London as well at this moment. But well, I just wanted to show you this of the beautiful imagery of the Greater London area. Of course, a lot of touristic sites. And well, I will proceed from here. We are now over Brookman's Park, turning for Clacton. Clacton is somewhere down there. And we'll just fly from there to the Netherlands, and I'll be back with you guys somewhere in the approach to Amsterdam. So see you in a minute. Hello and welcome back. We are now in our approach to Amsterdam. We are now almost over Zugel, 7 miles out. What is very nice that you can now also enter fixes in the flight management computer of the default 737, so I just did. I entered 2. The first line is 30 miles Sierra Papa Lima and the second one is 15. That's 15 miles Sierra Papa Lima. At this line we have to be below 10,000 feet and at 250 knots, so let's just make that happen right now. So here we are, now below 10,000 feet, so let's switch on the landing lights. We'll switch the engine starters back to continuous. Passengers are already in their seats. I already dialed in the ILS frequency 110.1, that's runway 18 right. The course for runway 18 right is 184, so that's dialed in as well. And as VOR number 2 I set the Sierra Papa Lima VOR, that's 108.4. And switched both of them on, so both are down here. We are 32 miles out of Schiphol right now. From Zugel we will fly direct to a point called PVOS, Papa Echo Victor Oscar Sierra. We have to be there just above 2,000 feet. That is the outer... oh hey, what's this? I don't like that. Go that way. Apparently there's some mistake here in the... So here we are, PFOS. There it goes. So let's see what happens if we switch it back on again. No, I want that. No, let's just fly on the heading from here on, because apparently the LNAV has some issues with the beacon of PFOS. So let's just descend to 2,500 feet. Oh, not too much. And make that a level change. And the reason why I had a second fix on 15 Sierra Papa Lima is that at that line we have to be at or below 220 knots. So let's reduce that speed already. think that at PVOS... No, let's just go for 2,500 at that point. So here we are descending again. 1,000 feet per minute gives us plenty of time to reach that altitude, because you reach that altitude at this green arc down here. So now we just have to make that right turn towards the beacon. And let's reduce speed for 220 knots. We have an outside air temperature of 12 degrees Celsius, so that's warm enough. We are not going to switch on the anti-ice on this approach. And let's just reduce the rate of descent for now, so we can get rid of the speed a little bit faster. We're just gonna need to reduce a bit more speed, because I want to be at 180 knots prior to intercepting the localizer. So I am gonna... We are now at 220 knots, so let's just increase the rate of descent a bit. So that gives us time to lose 40 knots. Just 1,500 feet to go. We'll just have to look up the QNH for Amsterdam right now. The weather is pretty good. It's now at 240 knots, 4 knot winds. Unfortunately, runway 24 is closed due to maintenance. QNH is 1025. So let's dial that in, 1025. And we can also dial in our minimum decision height. Let's make that 250 feet today. Radio altitude, that is. There we are. Now at 220 knots, passing the 15-mile Sharapapa Lima. There's the Netherlands, the Dutch coastline coming up. So let's reduce the speed to 180 knots now. Landing speed today will be 142. We need a 5 knot wind component, basically 4 knots, but well. So we'll fly at 147 at the approach. Flaps 40. We'll make an intercept heading of 154, I guess. It's a 30-degree intercept heading for the localizer, which is as good as you need. Set flaps 5. So we now have the ILS identified. So let's make that right-hand turn heading 154 now. .144 is also good, and let's switch on the approach mode. See if everything works correctly. And continue to descend 2,000 feet. Plane is already on the glides. No, it's not. This is not very nice. We need to be on the localizer prior to interception, so I just shouldn't have made that turn that steep. It's my mistake. Let's switch it over to the approach mode. Here we are. Localizer is alive. Turning in for final. That's the runway down there. 5 miles out, gear down, set the speed 147. Flaps 10. Flaps 15. Flaps 25. Flaps 30. And set flaps 40. So missed approach heading 184. And missed approach altitude 3000 feet. Flaps 40 green, landing gears down, locked 3 green. Spoilers armed, auto brakes set 2. Passenger signs are on. Engine starters are continuous. Missed approach heading and altitude set. QNH is set. Autopilot is connected. Pilot has control. We are reversing, well, not the best of landings, but or approaches at least. But at least we are there. And to conclude this video, I think we can state that with these modification of the default 737, the default 737 all of a sudden becomes a very nice plane to fly with. Well, there are still some things to be resolved. Of course, there was something not right with the LNAV. The symbols on the nav display are a bit on the small side. When you point out waypoints, airports, stuff like that, it's almost unreadable. But I think all in all, this is a good upgrade from the out-of-the-box version. Well, the sound is an improvement. It's still not perfect, not as nice as in some of the payware add-ons. But again, it's a freeware update and it's at least an improvement over the default sound. So if you have X-Plane 11 out of the box, go to the forums.xplane.org and download this modified 737-800 with the modified sound file. You will have a much better sim experience completely for free. And I think if the developer of the modification continues to develop this airplane, we might have a real winner in the long run. So let's just see what the landing looked like from the outside. don't really like this sound, but well, if you know the default sounds, at least it's slightly better. And I'm quite curious on how the reversers will sound from the outside. Also this scenery, zonephoto.explain.fr, these are zoom level 17 tiles, they're no longer there, so if you want zoom level 17 now you're gonna use Ortho 4XP. It's the Aerosoft Amsterdam scenery and World to Explain mix. And they give quite a nice impression. I just don't really like the trees over here on the runway. But that's about the only thing that I can find that I don't like. That was a bounce. We had 2 landings for the price of 1. Well, don't think the reverse sounds are very special, so but like I said before, at least an improvement, and it's completely freeware. If you want really awesome sound packs, you usually have to go for payware add-ons. So anyway, Explain 11 out of the box, 737-800, modified file to be downloaded from forums.explain.org, to be recommended, makes for a really fun plane to fly with. And that will conclude this video. So see you again next time. Bye bye.